My girlfriend lied about being single, had a secret family, while I was saving for our wedding. So I told her husband everything and watched it burn. I'm a 29-year-old guy, and for the last 2 years, I thought I'd found the woman I'd spend the rest of my life with. Lisa came into my world like a movie scene. Charming smile, quick wit, that kind of energy that just pulls you in. We met at a friend's engagement party, and within a week, we were talking daily. Within a month, we were dating exclusively. Everything felt fast, but right. You know that feeling where someone just gets you? That was her. She was always saying how lucky she was to have me, how no man had ever treated her this well. And I believed her. I'd bring her flowers just because. I'd drive 30 minutes out of my way to pick her up from work. She'd post pictures of us with captions like, "Can't wait to marry this man someday." I ate that up after a year of dating. I proposed on the beach at sunset with a ring I'd saved for by cutting every extra expense. No new clothes, no weekend trips, in just work, hustle and dreams. She cried and said yes. That moment still replays in my head sometimes, even now. We started planning for a wedding once her finances were more stable. She told me she had some student loans she was managing alone. I offered to help, but she insisted on keeping it separate. I respected that. So I kept working overtime, saving quietly for the big day she dreamed about. Her Pinterest boards full of venues, dresses, honeymoon ideas. But even then, there were things I brushed off. She never introduced me to her family, claimed they were super traditional, and would judge us because we lived together before marriage. I didn't push. She'd vanish every Sunday for family visits and never posted about me on those days. But love makes you forgive what you don't understand. And that blind trust? It would cost me everything. I didn't want to become that guy, the one who doubts his fiancée over nothing. But once doubt creeps in, it doesn't leave quietly. It started small. One evening I was folding laundry while she was in the shower. I reached into her coat pocket to toss it in the hamper, and out slipped a receipt. Kids' clothing store. 2 shirts, 1 pair of sneakers, toddler sizes. The date was from 3 days ago, the same day she said she was helping her aunt with chemotherapy appointments. My stomach twisted. When I asked her about it later, she barely blinked. Oh, that? I picked those up for my co-worker. She's a single mom. Her card kept declining, so I paid. She'll pay me back. It was fast, believable, rehearsed. But that night, she slept like a baby. I didn't. I kept looking at the receipt like it had blood on it. Something about it felt off. I knew her co-worker vaguely. The woman didn't have kids, but I said nothing. A few days later, I noticed her phone buzzing constantly around 10 p.m. One name popped up more than once. Mike H. I asked, "Who's Mike?" Without missing a beat, she said, "My cousin. He's going through a divorce." Kind of leaning on me lately. It made sense. But not really, the way she kept her phone face down, how she always left the room to answer calls, how she never let me tag along on her family Sundays. The excuses were stacking up like bricks, but I kept building the wall around my doubt instead of breaking through it. The truth is, I didn't want to believe I'd been that wrong about her, that the woman I was ready to marry could be hiding anything big. But I didn't realize then I was about to uncover a secret so huge it would blow our whole life apart. I decided to stop asking questions and start getting answers. The next time she said she was working late, I played it cool, kissed her goodbye, wished her a productive night. The moment she drove off, I got in my car and followed her. She didn't go to the office. She drove across town, past neighborhoods I didn't recognize, and into a quiet cul-de-sac. The street was lined with modest homes, kids playing on scooters, sprinklers watering fresh grass. It felt like a different world. She pulled into the driveway of a beige house with white shutters, parked, got out like she'd done it 100 times, and then 2 kids burst out the front door. A boy, maybe 6, and a younger girl, no older than 4. They yelled, "Mummy!" and ran to her. My entire body locked up. I stayed across the street in my car, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. She knelt down, hugged them, kissed the boy on the cheek. A man came out of the house, tall, relaxed, wearing sweatpants and holding a juice box. He kissed her. He kissed her. I felt like I was watching my own funeral. She wasn't just cheating on me. She wasn't just hiding something. She had a whole family. A home? Kids? A husband? I watched them walk inside together like a perfectly normal family unit. Curtains closed. Porch light clicked on. That's when I realized I wasn't the center of her life. I was the escape. I didn't go home. I didn't scream or call or drive into a wall, though the thought crossed my mind. I just sat there for over an hour, trying to breathe, trying to process what I'd seen. But one thing was clear. I needed to know exactly who that man was and just how deep her betrayal went. The next morning, I didn't go to work. I couldn't. My head was spinning, my chest heavy, and every part of me felt like it was held together by rage and confusion. I hadn't slept. I kept replaying it, the kids calling her mommy, the man's arm around her waist, the way she fit so perfectly into that life. So I went back. Same house, same time. I parked further away this time, sunglasses on, hoodie up, heart pounding. And sure enough, she showed up again, this time with groceries. She walked right in with a key. It wasn't just an affair, it was a double life. I waited until she left 2 hours later. Then I walked up to the door. My hands were shaking. I rang the bell, half hoping no one would answer. A little girl peeked through the curtain. "Daddy!" she yelled. "Someone's here!" The man I'd seen before came to the door. He looked normal, a little tired, worn hoodie, stubble on his face. He opened the door halfway and said, "Yeah?" I swallowed hard. This is going to sound insane. "But I think your wife is engaged to me," he blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" I pulled out my phone, showed him a picture of Lisa with me, kissing on the beach, her wearing my engagement ring. I showed him a screenshot of her contact saved in my phone. Messages. I love yous. Wedding plans. He looked like the ground had been yanked from under him. "That's my wife," he whispered. "Lisa, we've been married 6 years. That ring," she said she lost it. Silence. Just two men standing in the ruins of the same lie. That's when we both realized we weren't enemies. We were victims, and together. We were going to burn it all down. Mike, that was his name, invited me in, though we both looked like we were about to pass out. We sat in his living room while his daughter watched cartoons in the next room, unaware that her mother's entire web of lies was unraveling right there in front of us. He poured us both coffee, but neither of us touched it. "She told me she was traveling for work every other weekend," he said, staring at his hands. "I thought she was stressed." "Thought maybe I was the problem," I nodded, hollow. "She said she was visiting family every Sunday. Always had an excuse. Never introduced me to anyone. I thought she just had walls." We started connecting the dots. Turns out Lisa had been balancing 2 lives for almost 2 years. She split her weeks, weekdays with me, weekends with Mike and the kids. Somehow, she'd even managed to get a remote job that gave her full freedom. 2 phones, 2 addresses, 2 completely separate realities. It was genius. "And disgusting. I thought the mood swings were just postpartum," Mike muttered. "Guess she was just running low on lies." He showed me a photo of their wedding day. Lisa in a white dress, glowing, holding a toddler I hadn't even known existed. I wanted to be sick. We decided not to confront her yet. We wanted undeniable proof. So Mike gave me permission to trail her if she ever left for work again. He even showed me where she kept her spare car key so I could slip a GPS tracker under her bumper. And that's exactly what I did 2 nights later. While she was grocery shopping, Lisa had no clue the clock was ticking. Every minute she spent lying, from that point forward, was being documented, and soon we'd have enough to ruin her carefully built fairy tale for good. Over the next 2 weeks, Mike and I became unlikely partners in betrayal surveillance. We created a shared folder, screenshots, photos, voice memos. We logged everything. When she left, who she called, where she went. I even screen recorded our video calls when she'd say things like, "I miss you so much. Can't wait to be your wife." Meanwhile, Mike was gathering her receipts, checking her bank statements, and pulling phone records. Turns out, she'd been using his credit card to buy supplies for my wedding scrapbook. The irony was suffocating. One night, while I was on a call with her, she said she was going to bed early because she had a big meeting the next morning. I watched her dot turn grey. Then 5 minutes later, Mike sent me a photo. Lisa, in pajamas, curled up on the couch with her kids, smiling. The lies were casual now, too easy. She was drunk on control. And then came the final nail. Mike found a recording from a parent-teacher meeting, taken by another dad who'd tagged them on social media. Lisa was sitting next to Mike, laughing, holding his hand, wearing the ring I gave her. That broke something in me. I realized I'd spent months scraping by, working overtime, skipping dinners just to save for a future. That she was never going to choose. It wasn't about love anymore. It was about justice. And the woman we both loved had no idea that everything she'd built was about to collapse. We agreed on one last move. I would plan a romantic dinner with her, a wedding date, celebration, and play along like everything was normal. Meanwhile, Mike would be watching, recording, collecting her every word. This wouldn't be a confrontation, it would be an execution. I made the reservation at her favorite restaurant, rooftop view, candlelight, the kind of place she'd always wanted to go for our engagement milestones. I told her I had a surprise. She texted back, "You're too good to me." And I almost threw my phone across the room. Mike had her phone mirrored. We used an app to live stream her screen and audio straight to his laptop. Everything she typed, everything she said, every fake smile she gave, I wanted it all on record. She walked into that restaurant dressed like nothing was wrong, like the world was hers. She kissed me on the cheek, slid into the booth, and called me her forever. And I just smiled back. We ordered wine. I complimented her dress. She told me she couldn't wait to have a beach wedding and joked about naming our kids after her grandparents. Meanwhile, in another living room just miles away, Mike sat with headphones on, watching the love of his life invent an entirely new one. At one point, I asked her, "Do you ever think about what it'll be like when your family meets mine?" She sipped her wine and said, "I want it to be a surprise. I want them to see how much I love you. It was too perfect." "Too polished?" I asked. "Do you think your cousin Mike will come?" Her hand jerked slightly, but she caught herself. "What? Oh, I mean, yeah, maybe. Gotcha." Back home, Mike sent me a one-line text. "I'm ready. Let's end it." We gave her one more night to sleep peacefully. One last night of living in her perfect double life, because the next time she walked through that door, we'd be waiting. And we were going to bring everything with us. Mike planned the setup like it was a sting operation because, honestly, it was. He told Lisa he had a surprise birthday dinner for his brother and asked her to come straight home from her weekend work trip. She agreed without hesitation, said she'd bring dessert. I guess she thought she could just keep juggling two lives forever. Meanwhile, I spent the day printing everything, photos of us, text threads, screenshots of her saying, "I've never loved anyone like I love you," while literally curled up in bed with Mike's daughter. I laid them all out in a neat little folder, my final gift to her. That evening I parked 2 houses down and entered through the side gate. Mike let me in, and we waited in silence while his kids played in their rooms, totally unaware their family was about to detonate. At exactly 6:13 p.m., we heard the front door unlock. "Hey, babe," she called, voice cheerful. Mike didn't answer. She stepped into the living room and froze. I was on the couch. Mike stood by the fireplace. The manila folder sat on the coffee table, sealed tight like a verdict waiting to be read. Her eyes darted between us. "What's going on?" she asked. her voice suddenly thin. I stood up and handed her the folder. "Why don't you tell us?" She opened it slowly, like she already knew what was inside. Photos, messages, her wedding ring in my hand, the tracker location logs, even a screenshot of her giggling in bed with me while texting Mike, "Good night." She didn't say a word. Mike said it for her. "You played us both. Lied to your kids. Lied to me, lied to him. How many others?" She just stared, mouth slightly open, as if words would magically come. But nothing came. No excuses. No fake tears. Just the sound of her world cracking wide open. She dropped the folder. Literally let it slip from her hands like it burned. Papers spilled across the carpet. Pictures of her kissing me. Screenshots of her telling Mike she was out with the girls. Bank statements showing his card, paying for the dress she wore on our anniversary. Still, she didn't speak, so I did. "Whose wedding were you planning, Lisa?" My voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. The silence carried more weight than any shouting ever could. She looked at me, then at Mike, her eyes flickering like a busted light. I can explain," Mike laughed. The kind of hollow, bitter laugh that comes when grief turns into rage. "You've explained enough over the years. What I want now are answers." "Real ones." She moved to sit down, but I stepped in. "No, you stand for this." That's when she snapped. "You don't understand. I was under so much pressure." "You both gave me different things I needed." "I didn't plan for this. It just happened." "You had a family," Mike said, voice tight. "You had kids, Lisa, and you were building a life with someone else." She turned to me, tears finally pooling in her eyes. "You made me feel alive again. I was drowning at home. So you decided to drown everyone else with you?" She sank into the armchair, sobbing now, but I felt nothing. No pity, no softness, just a cold, stunned void. I walked toward the door. Mike didn't follow. Instead, he said calmly, "You'll be hearing from my lawyer, and I'll make sure the kids know exactly who their mother is." Lisa sobbed harder. I didn't look back, because when the house burned down around her, I didn't need to fan the flames. I just needed to walk away with proof that I wasn't crazy, that it wasn't all in my head. The fallout was instant and brutal. Mike filed for divorce the next morning. No hesitation. Just cold, clean paperwork and a lawyer who specialized in custody cases. He told me later he didn't even cry when he signed it. "I already did all my mourning while she was out playing house with you," he said. "As for me?" I blocked Lisa on everything. Phone, email, socials. She tried to reach out, left voicemails sobbing, texting from burner numbers, even showed up at my apartment once. I didn't answer. I couldn't. I knew if I saw her eyes again, part of me might want to believe something that wasn't real. But she didn't stop. She left a letter in my mailbox, 5 pages of apologies, excuses, manipulation. Said she had a trauma response to being unloved. Said, "You were both the best things that ever happened to me." Claimed she didn't mean to hurt anyone. I didn't even finish it. I burned it on my balcony. Then came the consequences she didn't see coming. Her job found out she'd falsified her emergency contact info. She'd listed me as her fiancé and power of attorney. That's a violation of company policy, especially in her line of work. She was terminated when Mike's family found out. They cut her off too. Said she was no longer welcome in their home. Even her own sister, whom I'd never met, reached out to Mike and apologized on Lisa's behalf. "She's been like this since we were teenagers," she told him. "You just didn't see it until now." Lisa had built 2 kingdoms on lies, and in the span of a few days, she lost both. I didn't smile. I didn't celebrate. I just sat in the quiet and let the wreckage settle, because there's a different kind of justice in watching someone ruin themselves. After it all came crashing down, I disappeared for a while. No social media, no dating, no checking mutual friends' stories to see if she was still posting. I just went silent. Like my soul needed to hit do not disturb, I started therapy. Not because I thought I was broken, but because I didn't want to carry her lies into my next chapter. My therapist asked me, What's the hardest part to let go of? I didn't even blink before answering that I was saving for a life that never existed. I'd been working 60-hour weeks, skipping birthdays, holidays, nights out, all so I could give her the wedding she dreamed about. I had a folder on my laptop titled Forever Plans. Venues, ring upgrades, honeymoon resorts. All of it for her, so I deleted it, every file. Every photo, then I booked a cabin upstate. No internet, just me, a journal, and the kind of silence that doesn't echo her voice. That's where I found peace. I stopped blaming myself, stopped replaying the signs I missed, stopped wondering if I was too much or not enough. Turns out, being a good man isn't what got me hurt. Trusting the wrong woman did. Mike and I still check in now and then. He's doing better. His kids are adjusting. He even joked once, at least now I can finally repaint the living room. I laughed harder than I expected to. And me? I'm rebuilding. I started saving again. Not for a wedding, not for someone else, but for myself. For a trip I've always wanted to take. For the life I want, because this time, no one gets to lie their way into it. It's been just over a year since I found out the woman I loved had a husband and 2 kids, and a version of me in her back pocket like a spare life. I haven't spoken to her since the day I left Mike's house, haven't looked at her social media, haven't answered a single unknown number. I made a choice. Closure isn't something you wait for from a liar. It's something you give yourself, and I did. I don't need her to say sorry. I don't need an explanation. I have the truth. I have the silence. I have my sanity back. Mike told me during the divorce hearing she tried to twist the story, claimed we took advantage of her mental health and bullied her. The judge didn't buy it. Neither did the custody evaluator. The court granted Mike full custody. She sees the kids twice a month, supervised. The last thing she said to him, according to Mike, was, "You and him ruined my life." To which Mike replied, "No, Lisa, you ruined 2 good men's lives. We just stopped letting you." That line stuck with me. For the longest time, I thought I was the other man, the idiot who got used. But now I know I was the only person in that triangle who loved her with full honesty. That doesn't make me a fool. It makes me free. These days, I don't tell people about what happened unless they really ask. Not because I'm ashamed, but because it's no longer a wound. It's a scar. And scars mean you survived. If she ever sees me again, I hope she looks long and hard. I hope she sees that I rebuilt from what she tried to bury. Because in the end, I didn't just lose a liar, I found myself.